what, in your opinion, makes a good teacher?
Like I say, I'm going to focus less on the knowledge thing, because basically you have to know what you are teaching. Okay,
so it's a given, yeah?
Yeah, it's a given. But the other things that make a person to be a good teacher is actually more soft skills, like empathy. You're able to empathize with the student, be very aware of where they're coming from, because you're going to be facing people from all sorts of cultures, from all sorts of backgrounds, etc., different from yours. Maybe sometimes similar, but you need to be able to look at their viewpoint from the way what they bring into the classroom, where they're coming from. So empathize is what I would think that would be the first thing. And of course, be compassionate and to listen to them, be a good listener. Yeah. Sorry, do we have a question?
No, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. So those are the things that I think would make a person as a stepping stone to be a good teacher. The listening skills, empathy, to connect with your students, right? No. Because when the COVID-19 happened, you won't believe it. I mean, the misconception is that every Bruneian rich in a rich country with high GDP, etc. What we actually found out is that when we have to totally go online teaching very quickly, and we found out that not every student has the ability to access the internet to go for your live classes. Either they are living in areas where the internet connection is not as good, or they don't have the means to have a good data plan in order to, you need to connect. So that is actually very humbling for us and an eye-opener. In UTB, we actually, the lecturers in the whole of UTB started a collection in order to get enough funds first for the data plan, to bring it in where it works, etc. And we didn't stop there. My colleagues actually, in collaboration with MOE, communicated with the telco in Brunei to try and get up with data plans that are good for students during this time, and they succeeded in doing it. Like if you're using Zoom for any reasons today on the data plan, it doesn't cost you anything. It's on that 0 cent plan. So they look at what we use for teaching, like Teams, Zoom, etc. And so those are zero cost when you're using that for the internet. Of course, if you use the internet for movie, it will be costly for you. But all these things were, like I said, what we found out was very humbling. To be able to walk in the student's shoes, to try and understand from the student's viewpoint, the challenge of a student to want to study and do something about it, okay? And yeah, it was humbling, it was humbling.
How practical is this, in university, I know you have 200-300 students at once. Correct. In a lecture hall.
Yep.
So when back in my university days, most of my lecturers are like you, they have no idea who I am. They don't even recognize my face. So and I don't blame them, because it's really impractical or impossible for them to remember. Now, if you were to exercise too much empathy, you don't have enough time.
Yeah.
How do you balance that?
Yes, you are right. There's no way that I over empathize with a student, because it's also learning the human character, because there will always be people who take advantage of any situation. If you're exploiting it, a situation, and with good intention, that's fine. That means exploit a business idea in order to do a good business. But when you're exploiting it because of you can do it, then you really need to draw the line. And yes, even though I said that you have to have empathy, you also need to know where to draw the line. Like, I do not get personal. I do not want to get too personal with the students. I have like over 100 students. That's almost impossible. But any students who show, it goes both ways. Any student who has successfully shown me that they are willing to learn and that they have real hardship, and that's where we actually take actions. Personally, I would like actually go all out to support that student in whatever way I can. But it can be very draining, and you got to watch that you don't overdo it. You got your own health to look after.
So you have to draw boundaries.
Yes, you have to draw a boundary, because some of my colleagues also have their own family, have their own children at home, so need to draw the boundary anyway. But then on the other side of the coin, I need to understand why a student stopped learning. Okay, it can be a myriad of a lot of things, but there are some things that some tools that we have at the university that we practice on. We have in place a full-time counselor, a full-time welfare officer, whose makeup is a bit more different, and sometimes they can decide that we consult and ask them to intervene into the welfare of the students. So we have help. It's not that we are alone, and so, but we need to know how to use those help in order to get things happening. Yeah, but we have to draw the line. We cannot get too personal. We can empathize, but we cannot get too personal and cross the line. Okay.
It's easier said than done.
Yeah, yeah.